Good morning, everyone. We completed the last chapter, depreciation, and I believe personally that everyone had done a very fabulous job in the half-yearly exam of accountancy. But after the depreciation chapter, we are going to start a very simple chapter which name is provision and reserve. This is actually a chapter which contains the theory for the 4 to 6 marks. So this is basically a theory chapter. So we will discuss the meaning of provision, need of provision, advantage of provisions, what is the meaning of reserve, advantage of reserve, need of the reserves, and what are the various types of reserves. So without any delay, the chapter name is what, bacha? The chapter name is provision and reserves. Bacha, one thing before I start this chapter, just a very simple thing is that the losses, generally the losses are two types of losses. One is the known loss and one is the unknown loss. Meaning of known loss is, okay, so just have a note of this, that loss is having two types. One is known loss and second one is bacha unknown loss. What is the meaning of known loss and what is the meaning of unknown loss? Very simple. Dekho, the losses which will surely happen in the future, that type of loss for the business is the known loss, and that loss which is accidental, which is not predetermined, that is considered as an unknown loss. So before I start this chapter, please keep this particular thing in your mind, that losses are generally two types of natures, known and unknown. Now the first thing what we are going to discuss is provision. Provisions. अब देखो बच्चा, the provisions means what? Generally in a very simple language, you understand like this, that provision is a part of profit which kept as a fund for known loss. ठीक है बच्चा? So it is a very simple thing. In detail we will discuss the meaning of provision. But if somebody asked to you that what is the meaning of provision? So provision is very simple. A part of profit which kept as a fund for known losses. That is the meaning of provision. Okay, that is the meaning of बच्चा provision. ठीक है? अब what other things are there? We can simply say that provisions refer to the following amount. What are the following amount बच्चा? Number 1. ठीक है? Like suppose any assets value is decreasing. So to cover that decreasing value, to write off that decreasing value, we provide bacha provision. Ab what is the meaning of this? You understand? Like suppose we purchase a machine and that machine lifetime is 4 years. Okay. If you remember in the depreciation chapter, then you remember that estimated lifetime of assets. So estimated lifetime of assets is actually giving that this assets working life is 10 years. Mean after 10 years you need to replace that machine. So assets values are per year decreasing. To write off that assets value, we create a provision, and this is a known loss, because we are knowing that after 10 years we have to replace the machine. Number one. Number two is bacha. Number two is any known liability. What is the known liability? Known liability you can say, known losses you can say. Like suppose if you're knowing that after 10 years you have to pay something, so for that you are creating the provisions, because you're knowing that this liability you have to pay back after 10 years. So what I said in the starting, that provision is for known losses. Okay, so the first thing, the meaning of provision, if somebody asks you, so the same you quote what you said to you, that provision stand for known losses. Okay, now some examples of provisions. Bacha. The first example, please write down in your copy, provision for depreciation. Second example is provision for taxation. You are knowing that after a year you have to pay the tax. So for that, bacha, you are creating a fund. That is what provision. Acha, one thing always remember, that provision is what? Provision is a fund which is kept out of profit. Okay, like suppose we earn 10,000 amount as a profit. So out of 10,000, I kept 2,000 for the known loss, for known liability of taxation, that I have to pay the tax. So 2,000 I kept separate. That is what? That is provision. Next one is provision for bad debts. If suppose I sold the goods to someone, I sold the goods to certain debtors, so as a past experience we can guess that lump sum this much amount we will not able to recover, and it will our bad debts. So to cover up that, we create a provision for bad debts. Next one is provision for discount on debtors. If we decided to give the discount to the debtors, and for that we are keeping a fund, that will be considered as a provision for discount on debtors. And next one is provision for repair and renewals. So for bacha, renew the things, like suppose you are knowing that after 3 years it should be renewed. It needed the renew. It needed the repair. So for that repair and renewal, a fund is needed, which is a known. We are knowing that after 3 years the repair is a needed one. After the 3 years that should be renewed. So for that purpose, whatever the fund we are having, that will be provision for repair and renewal. Acha ji. So now the next topic of the provision is the features of provision. So we will discuss each and every feature one by one. So bacha, next topic is feature of provision. Bacha, the first feature is that provision is for known liability. Provision is for known liability. It means it is for the known losses, known future payment. We are creating the provisions. Next, bacha, next is provision is charge against profit. अब अच्छा understand this word, charge against profit. What is the meaning of this? A very simple meaning of charge against profit. देखो, charge against profit is anything which decrease our profit will be considered as a charge against profit, and provision is one of this that decrease our profit and which is known as a charge against profit. So what is the nature of provision? Provision act as a charge against profit. ठीक है. अब what are the purpose? What are the purpose? You can say what are the needs? You can say need are purpose for provisions. Need are purpose of provision. So बच्चा, the first need purpose of provision is number 1, true net profit of the business. देखो बच्चा, when we are having any known losses and we not kept out the profit, so we cannot know exactly what is our true net profit. So provision is what? That provision is a fund which is kept out of profit. Like our profit is suppose 1 lakh rupees, and 10% we decided to keep the provision for bad debts. So 1 lakh is our total profit, and out of this 1 lakh we are keeping 10%. It means 10,000 we kept as a provision for bad debts. So net available profit for distribution is just 90,000. This is the first purpose why we are creating the provision, that with the help of provision the exact true net profit of the business will be shown. Okay. देखो बच्चा, the second one is what? The second one is true financial position of the business. True financial position of the business. अब देखो बच्चा, it is very simple. In the business, as per the prudence principle, there are two things. Already I had discussed the principle with you. If you not understand, already the video is uploaded. You can go and watch that. There are two type of losses. One is actual loss and one is anticipated. The loss which can happen in the future. Similarly, actual profit and anticipated profit is there. अब बच्चा, what prudence principle is saying? Record the actual loss, record the actual profit, and record all the losses which can happen in the future, which is known as anticipated loss, but don't record the anticipated profit. So for anticipated loss, the loss which can happen in the future, we have to create the provision. And when we create the provision, then only the true financial position of the business will be shown, that what is actually the status of the business. That can be only identified when we have the provision for all the anticipated losses. That's why provision creation is very important in the business organization. The next one is, the third one is to provide for known losses in the future. To provide for known losses in the future. अब बच्चा देखो, very simplest thing is there. I already told you that there are two type of losses. One is known and one is unknown. तो बच्चा, in the organization, whatever the known losses are there, for example, like provision for taxation. What are the known losses? Like provision for taxation, provision for repair, provision for renewal, okay, provision for any damage, so bacha, these all provisions are the known losses which will happen in the future, which can happen in the future. So for covering that these losses will not give so much effect on the times of happening, we create a fund in advance that if these losses take place, at least these losses already we have maintained. These losses will not give that much negative impact on the business. We have already the safety measurement as a fund. That's why the provision is required, by which we can cover up, we can minimize the effect of the known losses in the future. And the last purpose, last importance of the provision is the fourth one. And the fourth one is for the equitable distribution of expenses. But what is the meaning of that? Suppose a businessman purchases a machine worth rupees 10,000. Machine cost is bacha 10,000. This machine will run for 10 years. That is the estimated lifetime. Okay? Estimated lifetime 10 years. So now we have number one, that in any year we not create any fund for this machine out of profit. And in the 10th year, after 10 years, we have to purchase the machine, so we require immediately the 10,000 rupees. Maybe it is a chance that maybe in the 10th year or after the 10th year, we don't have the enough fund to purchase, to replace, to renew this particular machine, because at one time the 10,000 rupees is required, and maybe if the balance is there also, then 10,000 will decrease our profit, in the 10th year in a huge way. But we have a second option also. What is the second option? That 10,000 rupees equally divided by 10, and each year we have to only create the provision for 1,000. So we created the 1,000 rupees per annum, and in the 10th year already we have a fund of 10,000 rupees, and by this particular fund we can easily replace our machinery and no extra burden. No extra burden will be in 10th year profit. Okay, so understand this particular thing, the last one. For the equitable distribution of expenses, like suppose any 10,000 rupees machinery purchase which estimated lifetime is 10 years. So we have one option, by in any year we not deduct any amount. So what we done? Simply bacha, we done it the things that in the 10th year, after passing of the 10th years, we just take out 10,000 rupees profit, and that 10,000 rupees profit bacha we utilize to purchase the new machinery. So two things can be. Number one, when we directly take 10,000 rupees profit for a particular year, the 10,000 rupees is a huge amount, so that will impact our profit. And number two, may be possible that in the 10th years, when actually we have to replace the machinery, we don't have the amount by which we can purchase that. So we have to suffer in that year. Second option we have, that 10,000 rupees machinery is equally divided in 10 years, and each and every years we have to take 1,000 rupees from the profit as a provision which create a fund, and after the 10 years with the 10,000 rupees we can actually replace our machinery. So what will be that no extra burden will be there in the 10th year profit, and we purchase the machinery very easily. That is also the purpose, importance why we create the depreciation, why we create the provisions by which any particular year will not get the all burdens. Now we will discuss some fact about the provision. So number one fact about provision, bacha, as we know, it is a charge. What we are discussing? Provision. So as we know that provision is a charge against profit. Meaning of this, that whether firm earn profit or whether firm earn loss, in both situation bacha, provision will be created. It means it is a compulsory treatment. Whether the profit will be there, whether the loss will be there, in both situations the provision will be created. Okay, next, second one bacha. Second fact is that provision never invested. It is never invested outside of business. It means if we create the fund and we collect the fund, we keep the fund for the known liabilities, and maybe that known liabilities will be happen after 2 years, after 3 years, after 5 years. It doesn't mean that we invest our provision money outside of the business. We have to keep the provision money in the business only. Always remember that provision money will be not invested outside of business bacha. Next, third one bacha. Third one is that provision money will be not utilized for distribution as dividends among shareholders. What is the meaning of this? If we have the provision, it doesn't mean that we will utilize that provision for distributing as a dividend. As a dividend means, bacha, suppose in the business somebody had invested the money, so that person invested the money as a owner, so that person is known as shareholder. Somebody had given the loan to the business. Remember what I'm saying right now, very important. Suppose somebody had given the money to the business as a loan giver, so they will get the interest. But if somebody had invested the money as a owner, as a shareholder in the business, so they will not get the interest. Whatever they will get at the return, that is dividend. But provision for anything means any provision money will be not utilized for distributing the dividend. So dividend will be only distributed in the case when you have the remaining profit, when you have the sufficient amount of profit. So bacha, this is all about the provision. In the next class, we will discuss the meaning of reserves, the types of reserves, the difference between provision and reserve. Till then, take care and bye bye, Victor.